Oh, boy. Tell you, what an interesting turn of events. If you're a K-State fan, I don't know how close it was as far as time-wise, but right around the same time that Avery Johnson was leading or at least the same evening, same window, leading a game-winning touchdown on the road against Colorado, Will Howard lost his mind in Oregon and taking a snap with 6 seconds left, needing a field goal for the victory and no timeouts, saw a wide receiver.
Dak do that in the playoffs?
Yes.
Once? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I flew back to.
Wide open on the sideline. Now, there was a defensive back hovering, but I think it could have been a quick completion, step out of bounds, still a long field goal, but pick up a few yards and give yourself an opportunity to kick to win it. Instead, he runs and keeps running and then gives himself up and slides right as it's 1 and then ticks to 0. If you want to get technical about it and go back and study it like the Zapruder film, then you could say, well, he gave himself up and his knee hit the ground at 1.
But you got a timeout. You got to call the timeout.
And you're in Oregon.
Yeah. Hey, there's been some things in Oregon, I'll tell you. I remember some.
That clock might have stopped if you were in Ohio, but it didn't.
Did you see all the discussion that people feel that Dan Lanning intentionally put 12 people on the field to play before?
Why not?
And I haven't seen him, but that's a
loophole.
That's the loophole they maybe have found. But.
Okay, so and what Leabo's referencing is they had 12 men on the field. They ran a play, didn't pick up anything, called a penalty,
but
but
it 6 seconds.
I think it took 4.
Yeah,
5. It took some seconds.
Some
right?
seconds. More. Some seconds that Will Howard desperately needed.
The idea of it is you put 12 men out there. And it's not going to be
the idea is that you have 12 guys.
No,
it's just 5 yards.
5 yards.
Yeah.
And so it's nothing significant.
The seconds were more important.
And you're not going to give up a big play because you have 12 men on the field. And so then what you do is you do that, and you're able, in that situation, the most precious thing that was the most precious commodity in that game at that moment was time.
Yeah.
Seconds.
They had called a timeout before they put the 12 guys on the field, too.
Dan Lanning, local guy, so I'd like to say he would. Yes, he. I'm no fan of Ryan Day, so I'd like to think he outfoxed Ryan Day in his very luscious beard. But
just for men.
The problem is, man, then there was a situation earlier because watching the game, the broadcast crew was confused as to why it seemed like Ohio State thought after a penalty that the clock was stopped.
Right.
But then when the ball got set, the clock kept going, and they had no urgency. And they flat out said, look, you bring in a veteran quarterback like Will Howard so you don't have to worry about these mistakes. You've got a guy that's played a ton of football, that's like a coach on the field. This is why you offer him all that money and you bring him in from Kansas State so you don't have to worry about that. And then as soon as they got done saying that, he runs the ball at the end, and they said, unbelievably, you have a veteran quarterback and made 2 mistakes that cost you a whole bunch of time at the end of the game. And so, in one part or one channel watching college football, Avery Johnson, after an interception that it looked like was going to lead to K-State's demise, then he comes back and leads them to the game-winning touchdown drive over Colorado in a hell of a game. We thought it was going to be a wild game, an entertaining game, and K-State wins. And they watch Will Howard just come up with a huge blunder that led to Ohio State losing to Oregon.
Plenty of things happen in that game, but that's the last thing that happened, so that's going to be the thing. Can't happen. You can't have it happen. I'll tell you what, though. Was the kid going to make the kick? I don't know, man.
I don't know.
I saw a lot of college kickers miss a lot of kicks this week.
I'll tell you one way he's not going to make the kick if you don't let him take it.
Yeah. If the Oregon fans are on the field running around, you're not going to get to kick.
Can't do it. Kansas didn't play, but then Missouri played earlier in the day.
That's right. Put it on Maine.
Well,
UMass? Who was
UMass.
it?
Which
one was it?
UMass.
Did you see
Vermont? Who'd they get?
the video of them going in the dressing room? And
I did not. Was it
Barstool
nice?
Sports was having some fun with it. It said Missouri's team looks like they're leaving the SEC and entering a third world country. And it looked like, and some people said it looked like they're going to a middle school locker room
or some NFL practice
Very
facilities,
odd.
locker rooms.
But they went to UMass and they won 45-3, and it was just
that's a cover, is what we call that, right?
Why they're playing at UMass, I don't know.
I think Jim Sturk made a contract
Luther
several years
Burden
ago.
got nicked up, but looks like he's okay. But I mean, hey, back in the winning column, and so now here's the stretch that will determine the season. And let me tell you something. I feel like now it's so weird for Missouri. All of these games, I could sit here and make a case as to why I think they can win them. And then with a straight face, I can make a case as to why they're going to lose them.
Lose them all.
Like at home against Auburn, I'd like to think they're going to win
that game.
Homecoming at home against Auburn, but I don't know. If they go out there and play the way they did against A&M, they're not going to beat anybody. Now, some people would say, well, if they play the way they did against Vanderbilt, all of a sudden that win against Vanderbilt is a quality win. You see who they beat this weekend?
They keep winning. They beat Kentucky,
They beat
right?
Kentucky. Did you see what your buddy Stoops, the Kentucky coach, was crying about afterwards?
That they're not as good as Vanderbilt?
Oh, just, look at they committed to NIL and they got this quarterback. Look how they promoted him, and until Kentucky commits to NIL and bringing players in, they won't be able to compete in the SEC.
It's a thing, man.
Well, fine. And so Auburn.
By the way, Kentucky has a 5-star quarterback who was at Georgia before for 3 years. I don't know if they're paying him much money, but
at Alabama, you think no way they can win at Alabama. Well, Alabama lost to Vandy.
Probably should have lost this one.
Vanderbilt, in Alabama, nearly lost at home to South Carolina. Then they play at South Carolina. Eli Drinkwitz in Missouri, they have a good history of success playing South Carolina.
Columbia versus
South Carolina is a pretty damn good team. Okay? And it's at South Carolina. At Mississippi State, they better win that one or something's wrong.
Yeah, Mississippi State is struggling right now. They fought with Georgia for about a quarter.
And then home against Arkansas. So predict those games. I have no idea.
You missed one of them.
I'm not going to talk about that with you. Oklahoma.
Yeah, Oklahoma could lose every game,
now,
too.
Oklahoma looked god-awful against Texas.
Yeah, it's rough.
But would it surprise you if they gave their best effort against Missouri and somehow won that game? No.
Oklahoma won the first quarter, Steven.
Okay, so yeah, like right now.
Good thing I didn't bet the first quarter.
Here's what I would say.
You don't bet the first quarter.
This is, being the optimist, I think they could beat Auburn. I think they'll lose at Alabama. I think now they'll beat Oklahoma. I think South Carolina is a toss-up. They should win at Mississippi State, and Arkansas is better than I thought. But all this requires Missouri to play a
really good
game of football
every time, which is hard.
A good brand of football. So I don't know.
The SEC championship game. I
don't know.
I think the SEC champion. I said this last week, and I think I still agree with it. There's not going to be 2 0-loss teams in the SEC championship game
unless it's A&M.
I mean, it could be LSU and Texas could have 0 losses maybe. LSU and A&M, I think, are going to play before that. Georgia plays Texas this week, okay? It's at Texas. Texas has proven that they can battle with some of these SEC teams. They won at Alabama last year. They battled Alabama 2 years ago. But Georgia is Georgia, all right? But this game's at Texas. But then Texas has to play at Vandy. Texas has to play at A&M this year. They have to play Kentucky, who's pretty salty.
Texas and Texas A&M, with the way these teams are right now, how unbelievable will that atmosphere be?
It's going to be crazy. It's the first time they've played in, 15 years, and it's going to be at College Station.
And that could be
the fake Army will be standing guard.
He could be first place in the SEC.
It's going to be unbelievable.
Okay, so now.
But then Georgia, I think, is Georgia the best team in the league?
They could beat anyone.
They could beat anyone.
Okay. But
they still, if they get past Texas, they've got a chance to have no losses. But I honestly think that there could be a 2-loss team with the way these schedules work out in the SEC title
We'll
game.
see.
Could be.
Now, as far as K-State, after that dramatic win at Colorado, now they have to go to West Virginia. That should be a battle.
In West Virginia, just peed on their pants against Iowa State. They were up on them a little bit, but Iowa State's solid, man.
Right.
Iowa State's a good football team. That was a really nice win for Iowa State at Morgantown.
But I think at least there's a chance now we see K-State go on a run here and not lose for a while, because they've got at West Virginia, home against Kansas, at Houston, home against Arizona State, home against Cincinnati, and then the end of the season at Iowa State. What could that possibly
it could
be for?
everything.
I mean, that could be for everything.
It could be a shot for either one of them to be in the title game.
Iowa State's in the top 10 now, and Iowa State sitting on top of the Big 12, if you're wondering. How about this bizarre trio? Would you have picked these three teams to be tied at 3-0 on October 14th? BYU, Texas Tech, and Iowa State. But then all the one-loss teams are behind them. K-State, Arizona State, whose head coach is crazy. Kenny Dillingham, who's the youngest head coach, I think, in D1. And they were interviewing him after their big win over Utah on Friday. And he goes, a few years ago, I was one of these people. And just started yelling and threw himself into the crowd. I like that guy. Since he's 2-1, Colorado's still 2-1. West Virginia's 2-1. So, good luck.
Everyone's schedule
Good luck figuring that out.
It'll be the tough part because, as we said, I think there's going to be ties because of the fact that you're just not playing everybody anymore. I think Tech, I watched Tech almost lose to Abilene Christian in their very first game of the year. It survived a 2-point conversion in overtime. But they have found a way to win the rest of their games, and it's been comfortable enough for them.
Correct me if I'm wrong, both of you.
But they're also going to Ames.
I feel like now with him investing so much into the program and the uniforms and everything else, I almost feel somewhat obligated to root for Texas Tech.
I don't have to do that. But I
Is that
appreciate
my
you.
Big 12 team now because of Patrick Mahomes?
It could be, but it won't be for me.
Why? Well, who else do you have?
Rock chalk, buddy.
Do you know
Kansas,
what?
right
Do
down
you
here,
know
the
who I
home
root
of.
for?
That's right.
You know what team I like to root for? Honestly, in football,
Who?
I like Iowa State.
Iowa State's
I like
five-star culture.
I like rooting for Iowa State.
5-star culture.
You're being a smartass about it, but I like to
No,
root for Iowa State.
I like that. That's a fun program, and they've got a good thing going right now. And they've got some big games at home. You mentioned the K-State when they're going to host Texas Tech as well. There's going to be some ties. and
I'm
stuff
waiting
in
for
this
you.
league.
You're going to say something derogatory about Iowa State. I was being genuine. I like to root for Iowa State football.
Matt Campbell.
I like Matt Campbell.
He'll find a way to not capitalize. That's just
There it is.
That's what the K-State people.
That's
they don't
almost
like him.
why I want them to win, because you say those
And
things.
I was wrong that they did make the Big 12 title game once, and I got caught being wrong when
right.
I was at Big 12 Media Days because I was too many Oklahoma title games, and I couldn't remember who they beat in all those years. And Matt Campbell should have gotten kicked out at halftime of that game for yelling at everyone.
Well,
But
there it is.
that's it. But the Big 12 is going to be wild, though. BYU is a super surprise because I don't think people thought much of them. Utah is a surprise the wrong way. They lost again.
Yeah.
This was a team that people thought was going to, they had veteran, of course, their 6-year veteran quarterback has been hurt.
Every week they say, well, if Cam Rising plays, like,
Yeah.
well,
I do have a bit of a theory. Tell me that this goes into the Vanderbilt-like deal, and maybe this is just a snapshot in time. But despite Will Howard's mistake, okay,
that was bad. Dude.
if you look at like the top 10 teams, for the most part, about half of them have transfer quarterbacks from somewhere, okay, who have played a lot of football, including Texas. I mean, he started at Ohio State. And then about the other half of them have guys who have played a lot of football for their team. I think hey, let's play our freshman quarterback thing is maybe not the greatest thing in the world. Avery Johnson had a nice moment, but Avery Johnson was awful at BYU, and they lost that game. We'll see how this goes throughout, but I think there are
fair,
so
he's not
many.
a freshman, but-
Well, he was a redshirt freshman, but he played a little bit last year. But I think
recruiting and developing your own quarterback and not going and dipping your toe in the transfer portal.
yeah,
is what you're talking
I mean,
about.
if you can stick around and you get a guy to hang around for 3 years, like
Brady
Carson
Cooks.
Beck or Brady Cook or Jalen Milroe
Daniels.
or whatever like that. Well, Jalen Daniels has not worked out. But a lot of
No.
Dylan Gabriel's in his 6th year of playing college football. Will Howard is in his 5th year on his second school. Quinn Ewers is in his.
Do you think the Ohio State
fourth
fans will
school.
be super forgiving of Will Howard?
No, I don't think they will.
I don't think they will.
But here's the thing: did they not recruit like 3 or 4 4-star players the last
That's
5 years?
fine.
And they just went and found a veteran guy. They didn't win
You're
that game.
just glossing over this. Could you believe he ran the football? Could you believe it?
I think no.
I was watching
couldn't.
it, and it happened, and then as soon as the clock strikes 0, he puts his hands on his helmet,
Like he knew
and the crowd,
he
yeah,
didn't
it
do it
made
right.
instant- and the crowd, storms the field. I'm like, I
How
can't
did you do that?
believe he just did that.
It looked like
I can't
honestly,
believe it.
had he kept running, he might have had a chance to do something on the play.
Well, but you can't. But I
you
can't.
You just can't do it. You can't do
no.
it. You can't do it. He made big mistakes.
I can't believe it.
But my point is, like freshmen and very young quarterbacks, I don't think are going to get very far in college football these days. We're not going to see that. I sit there and watched a true freshman quarterback at the OU Texas game.
this
just have a disaster.
This is what this is about.
No, I mean we're seeing this happen around.
You're projecting your program onto the rest of college football.
I just sit there, and I think it is just maybe a moment in time. But I watched a lot of 5th and 6th year guys who were on their second school running around in the top 12. I think Tennessee's kid is an exception, and he wasn't very good. But they found a way to survive. And he is a redshirt. He's a sophomore. He played a little bit as a freshman. But I think for the most part, for this little stretch of time, it's going to be go find a quarterback. And if it's your quarterback, that's fine. But these kids just aren't waiting around. And you get put in this situation where should you say goodbye to your quarterback or should you keep your freshman quarterback? I don't know what the right answer is.
Look what he's done for that program.
Exactly. How long is he playing football?
He's incredible. But I mean, look what he's done to Vanderbilt.
Is it easier to go pay for pitching or develop your own? You know what I mean? It's a little bit like that. Was Seth Lugo a better thing for the Royals than
what's your situation as a coach? If I'm a coach in college football, I'm scouring the transfer portal.
Yeah.
I'm bringing in a veteran quarterback.
Players who have played. You hope they don't make that mistake that Will Howard made.
Well,
someone had to lose that game.
It would be weird if you hoped that they made that mistake.
Well, that would be silly. But, I mean, Dylan Gabriel has been playing college football.
You root against him too?
Here's the deal. I don't think Oklahoma would have beaten Texas with him, but I think they would have scored more than 3 points.
Shouldn't have chased him away.
Well, they didn't chase him away.
Yeah.
But they say you've got this 5-star kid who's supposed to be your player, and then you make that choice, and then Dylan Gabriel goes and takes the money somewhere else, just like Will Howard did. Will Howard, if K-State if he was their quarterback, I don't know if they'd have beaten BYU, but they might not have lost 31-7. I don't know. I don't know. It is harder to be a college football coach today than it's ever been. And I don't feel bad for them. I'm just stating a fact because they make lots and lots of money, and I don't care. I don't feel bad for them. I don't feel bad for Ryan Day that, C.J. Stroud's not on his team anymore. And he went and found Will Howard. But it's harder now than it was.
Do you feel bad for him, Jake? You feel bad for Ryan Day?
No, I don't.
I mean,
not even a little bit.
He had Quinn Ewers on his team 3 years ago, and he left. Now, of course, Quinn Ewers reclassified just so he could get NIL money at Ohio because they didn't have that rule in Texas, so whatever. But that's just like the insanity of college sports is just that.
Yeah, I mean.
That kid literally changed his class so he could go get money in the state of Ohio because you couldn't do it in Texas yet. And then he went and sat in Ohio for a while. And then he came back to Texas, which is where he wanted to be to start.
Not for nothing. Let's see if Jake knows this. You probably know this. What's Ryan Day against the AP top 5? It's Ohio State, and it's like they're always in it. So
I bet he's over.
no, he's got one.
He beat Michigan once. Probably,
1 for 7.
Yeah,
He's 1-7.
Yeah.
not good.
No.
Do you think that's because
But
for their expectations, that's
right,
not
He's
good enough?
probably like 80-7,
But here's the
But,
thing about
you know,
the college football playoff now. He still has a chance to get in there.
and he could lose to someone in December. Then,
Well, I'm just saying. Like,
I agree. I
you know,
agree.
that without that, I think he's probably gone. But if he makes the college football playoff now, he'd say, "Well, our team's in the playoff."
Yeah, Ryan Day and Ohio State are definitely alive. It's not the end of the world for you. And
Right.
that's what we like about this.
Let's go. Let's do it. We'll take a break. Then we'll take a look at the Sunday in the NFL. Lots of football. Brandon says, I'm on the Texas Tech bandwagon as well. I'm not sure what Leabo has against Texas Tech and Iowa State. Oh, there's a lot. You dig into this, and you'll find out.
I'll just tell you.
Brandon, I'm with you,
precisely
Brandon.
whatever.
I'll just tell you.
I'll
I'm
just
with
tell
you,
you right
Brandon.
now.
I don't like them
I'll
wasting
support.
tortillas.
Let's take a break, and
That's
you
my
can tell
problem.
everyone.
The
but
waste of tortillas that go on down there.
It's bad, isn't it?
It's my problem. You cannot.
Brandon and I will support Patrick Mahomes and Texas Tech.
Can't be
with
wasting
all of our hearts.
tortillas.
Yeah, you throw tortillas. Well, I'll catch them.
Oh, it's turf
You know,
field. It's
how
pick
about
them up
that?
and eat them.
I'll catch them. We'll take a break. Back
Dirty.
after this on WHB.
be every single day.
There's the homecoming crew right there.
Yeah, we saw the homecoming pictures.
Oh, by the way, shout out to homecoming photographer me.
You did it.
My dad.
Smiles.
My dad.
Did we get smiles?
My dad had red shoes, a red shirt, and a red cheese head. He's in.
We didn't get all the smiles, though, did we?
No, there were a couple times Julia smiled. Let me see.
Once or twice? Not many.
No.
My wife commented, she's not even going to smile for homecoming.
She hasn't.
Said, this is her persona. This is what she does.
She said, I'm not going to be. Look, there you go. When she's with her friends.
It's almost a smile.
That's a smile.
Yeah. That is it.
Don't ask her anything else.
That's a guffaw. That's a laugh.
And don't say that you saw her smile because then that's gone.
And that's over.
Then you don't worry about that.
It's her thing.
I'm sorry.
So you didn't get time to rest this weekend?
No.
Remember how tired you were Friday?
I'm sorry, but I'm a pretty damn good photographer.
That is good.
I'm taking different pictures.
It's your new phone.
Yeah. Look at my dad. He came geared up, you know.
He's got his readers on his shirt. That's what every one of my pictures
He's got it.
I try to take my readers off my shirt and hold them down, so I don't need
real
those on.
happy. He found a guy. So he's wearing a Chiefs Super Bowl champions hat, right? And he comes up to me and goes, "How much do you think this is worth? What would you pay for that?" I go, are you trying to sell me this hat? He goes, "No, this hat. What would you know?" I said, "That's a $30 to $35 hat." And he looked at me. He goes, $10, and just walked off. I go, "What? Were you gonna tell me where?" You know. He just looked at me. and goes, $10.
Is it authentic? Does it have
Yeah.
license?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Found that somewhere.
There's a truck somewhere
Hey,
that
baby, who knows?
didn't arrive with some Chiefs championship gear.
Just a couple off.
Oh, he got the girls like sweatshirts. You know, like, hey, over
What
here.
about
What we
Dad?
got here? Nothing. But let me tell you something. I had a blast. I drove the kids around for homecoming. I wore this hat.
Yeah.
It's a chauffeur's hat. Play the part. I wore a button-down shirt. Opened doors. Made sure. Got them bottled water. And Cheez-Its for snacks. Had the Spotify on their music.
You
I
let
was
them
a
make
chauffeur
Cheez-Its
that
in your
night.
new car?
The baked ones are fine.
Is that why you had to go buy a vacuum?
Yeah. Well, no, there's tell you what, a lot of sparkles on my seats
Yeah.
from the dresses. I asked you, how do I get
Some
the sparkles
sequin?
out? I don't know.
Vacuum.
You know what? It was such a nice, and they went with their friend Sadie, who had coached in basketball in grade school, and so they'd gone to grade school and high school with her, so it's one of their best friends. But these two young gentlemen, and I watched from afar, it restored my faith in youngsters. Holding doors open, picking up the bill, being very polite, So shout out to Austin and Jacob for being two wonderful young gentlemen.
Just like young Jacob here was
I don't know
probably
about that.
Yeah,
I'm not going to make that comparison.
30 years ago.
I was in front
But
of parents.
but even like the girls, they were just such gentlemen, and
They weren't giving you the
But
Eddie
just-
Haskell here?
no, I don't know. They seem holding doors open, just like the little things.
Yeah. That's nice.
The little things that you ask for as a father. Wonderful. Two very nice young men, and they had a wonderful time at homecoming. St. Pius was up, I believe, 35-0 or 42-0 in the first quarter.
57-0 for the game? Is that what I
Yeah,
saw?
they had to shut it down.
Yeah.
you
Get the running clock going.
Get these young kids in there and play. So we had a good time over the weekend. Now, Brandon wants to know what do you have against Iowa State and Texas Tech.
All right, everything's
There's
petty
clearly
with me.
something personal.
Here's what's petty with me. 1990, Iowa State at Oklahoma, Dad's Day. Oklahoma lost, I think 33-31 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Almost the last play of the game. Quarterback draw 20 times in the game. Ruined Dad's Day. And that was the first time Iowa State had beaten Oklahoma since like 1965. So I'm mad about them then. 2017, my wife and I are going to drive down to Norman to watch a game, see our friends and whatever. And it's like an 11 a.m. game. And Iowa State's on their third string quarterback. Oklahoma's a 35-point favorite. And this is a team with, that made the college football playoff, all this stuff. Lost outright, played like a bunch of dummies, blah, blah, blah. So Texas Tech, 2005, one of the worst, most egregious misses
Oh, stop.
in instant replay history. A Danny Amendola 4th down conversion. Oklahoma came back and they won that game. And then they allowed Texas Tech to have like 7 chances. Still didn't score on the final play of the game. So mad about that.
Okay.
And mad about what other Tech game
Are you
got me
mad about Texas
Rain
players?
delaying.
Texas players after the game, the win over Oklahoma, taking a Baker Mayfield jersey, putting it down on the field in the 50-yard line, and then planting the flag through their Baker Mayfield jersey. Did you see that, Jake?
Not mad at all. It's what the
How
rivalry is.
could you not be mad about that?
Baker
You're
started
mad
this
about
crap.
the stuff that happened 20 years ago, and then you tell me
It's part of a rivalry.
Texas players took
Oh,
Baker Mayfield's jersey and put a spear through it,
I don't like Texas.
put a knife through it,
I'll
put
tell
a
you
flag through it.
1,000 reasons I hate Texas, but Baker and Oklahoma bring that on themselves. I mean, if they win, they'll do
But
that.
you
That's
love
a
Baker
rivalry.
Mayfield.
I love Baker.
I love Baker Mayfield.
Hey,
Let's see,
Baker was
okay,
there. Baker was there.
Listen to
I
this.
think last year on his bye week, throwing the horns down at people.
They asked Baker Mayfield about this.
Paid attention to what happened in the Oklahoma game yesterday, but they planted your jersey midfield and stuck a flag through that. What's up with you catching some strays there?
It's just a kid from Austin, Texas that went to Oklahoma and won his last 2 Red River games and being rent-free in their heads for almost a decade now. So, yeah.
Wow.
There you go.
If you didn't hear that, Baker Mayfield said, just a kid from Austin, Texas, that went to Oklahoma, won his last 2 Red River games, and being rent-free in their heads for almost a decade now.
I like that.
No. You love him.
I
for
love that.
Do you love that?
I wish they wouldn't have lost in 2015. It was very convenient to say you won your last 2.
You
They
can't
shouldn't have lost
everything.
in 15.
You can't have everything.
I think they lost to Charlie freaking Strong.
Jake, is that when you put the
Oh, they all have
Trophy
their
on his
golden hat on. Listen, here's the deal. It's a great rivalry, and you should talk smack back and forth.
Jake, do you like that
What you
Baker
should do.
Mayfield talking a little smack to some college kids?
I mean,
Do you
that's
like
that's
that?
a proper response.
Right.
I'm living rent free in their head for the last
He
decade.
said, I'm just a kid
Hey,
from Austin.
That's it.
I went to Oklahoma,
I
won my
love it.
last 2 Red River games, and I've been rent-free in their heads for a decade
I
now.
like Baker.
Baker's
So do
great.
I like Baker very much because in Lake Tahoe, remember when I
Yes.
interviewed him, and he was so cool. And we were talking off the interview for a while. And I said, I'm going to ask about my friend Todd because he's the biggest Sooner that I know. And so maybe give a shout out to him. And we were just going back and forth about some stuff. And he was great. And then we'll do the interview, and he was great. And I talked to him about, hey, here, you get this opportunity now. This is 2 years ago. You get this opportunity now to go to Tampa. And, man, that's a pretty good wide receivers. That seems like a pretty good situation for a quarterback. Just tell me your thoughts about how this all came together. And look what he has done since he went to Tampa.
Yeah.
And look, what did they put up on New Orleans yesterday? 51?
Yes. And despite, I think he threw 2 or 3 interceptions.
And again, and he had, but I refuse to put him in over Jalen Hurts.
Wouldn't do it.
He only outscored him by like 7 yesterday. When Jalen Hurts was off, then I put Baker Mayfield in. Has a great day. And I'm a moron. You know why? Because I see how NFL GMs go through this. And we talk about, no, this guy keeps getting a shot. Sky Moore keeps getting a shot because he's a second-round pick. So-and-so keeps getting an extra shot because he was a high draft pick. And here I am. I complain about that. And in my fantasy team, I can't get over myself that I picked Jalen Hurts over Baker Mayfield. And I just can't put Baker Mayfield in. And all Baker Mayfield does is produce every week. Guess what? Done. Official press conference.
You're doing right now?
Here I am.
You're making a change?
I am the coach and GM of the Competitive Pricks. We'd like to announce our new starting quarterback is Baker Mayfield. I will take no other questions at this time.
You're playing the Ravens next.
In 2 weeks, my new quarterback will be Baker Mayfield. Got to look at the schedule. You know what? Stop. Maybe I should stop looking at the schedule.
No, continue to look at the schedule.
You going to play him against the Chiefs in a couple of weeks on
Makes a
Monday Night
difference.
Football?
Maybe.
It makes a difference.
I don't know about that.
Hey, look, I'm emotional right now.
Yeah, you are emotional. You're
Now-
emotional like Nick Sirianni.
Ugh.
I'd fire him.
They should have been fired last year. They should have hired Belichick.
They're not gonna. Okay, let me ask you this from yesterday. So I'm trying to watch as many games as I possibly can.
At JCPenney?
Let's just go from the Sunday night game. I like football. That was very difficult for me to watch.
You had to have several bets on that game to be tuned into that.
I was
The
tuned
baseball
in.
and the football let me down last night.
All I had was T.
brutal.
Higgins, and that was enough to because he was at least getting some catches. But there were several times where I thought to myself, I have a sickness. What am I watching this game for?
You should have been asleep.
Well, let me tell you.
I should not be watching
Let
this.
me tell you about my
it was
experience with
it's 7-0 at halftime. It's 10-7 after 3. It's not compelling. I'm watching for two reasons. Number one, T. Higgins,
and-
hoping he scores a touchdown,
and hoping the Bengals lose.
and number two, hoping the Bengals lose.
Right.
it.
Yes.
And that's it.
All
And
right.
you weren't. The Bengals weren't losing.
No,
the
they
Giants,
weren't. Because you know why?
No.
Because every time, and I'm flipping back and forth,
Giants
and for
defense
some
pretty
reason,
good.
like 2 times in a row, I turn it on. Big fourth down here for the Giants. They're going for it. Ah.
Dude, they went for it every fourth down, I think.
Did they make any of them?
A couple.
But I'm talking about like late, like in the fourth quarter, they had a chance a couple of times.
3 for 5.
It was very, but I'm talking about on the line.
They missed a field goal to
Yeah.
goal to tie it up, and that,
that
was
field goal
brutal.
wasn't close either.
No, it was brutal.
So whatever.
I'll tell you about my experience. I had a parlay with T. Higgins over 50 yards,
Got that one.
Chase over 50 yards,
Got that one.
and then D. Slayton over 50 yards.
What'd he get?
53 on
Oh.
on one of the last plays of the game.
Let's go.
It's like, hey-o.
But that I'm being honest. That game was brutal.
Oh, it
to
was
watch.
awful. It was awful, and I watched every second of it.
Brutal to watch.
It is
And
awful.
really the 3 o'clock slate was brutal to watch.
Yeah.
Blowout city.
Because the Lions and Cowboys,
Oh,
what the hell was that?
oh.
47-9 Lions at Cowboys. And the horrible thing out of the
Yeah.
whole deal is,
Awful.
yes, the Lions put up 47, but Aiden Hutchinson, one of the young defensive stars of the league, with one of the most disgusting broken leg injuries that you
Physics
will see.
on that one.
Like a leg whip
Yeah.
into his own
Looked like
team.
a tether ball.
They
going
said
around the
he
leg.
had surgery immediately after the game, but that's just.
Yeah.
And I like him a lot.
Yeah, he's got a great motor. He's been he's from, Michigan.
I love
Went to
him.
Michigan. Got drafted by
You
Detroit.
seen that
he
video
loves
of him,
it,
walking up to a kid in the airport that has an Aiden Hutchinson jersey on, and talking
Tough
to him.
one,
Then the
man.
kid realizes Aiden Hutchinson. I don't know. I like him a lot. I think he's awesome, and to lose him like that's such a gut punch. And I think
Cowboys have gotten just
Cowboys suck.
crushed
Yeah,
at
they're
home
just-
a couple times this
They're
year.
terrible. They're terrible. But
And
anyway,
I love it. And happy
Yeah.
birthday. It was Jerry Jones' birthday.
The
so-
Lions-
Yeah, happy 82.
Yeah.
the Lions are a legitimate Super Bowl contender, but I don't know what losing Aiden Hutchinson does to them.
By the way, the Cowboys
That's
are
tough.
0-3 at home this year.
They're terrible.
I think if I was the Lions, I'd get on the phone quickly with the Jets and ask for a trade for
Hassan Reddick. Yep.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
still, but that
Where is
guy,
Hassan Reddick right now? Is
well,
he
they,
home?
they,
What is he?
He's
Chilling.
sitting at home, but they offered him another deal, and he said no.
But that guy is more than what he does on the field. He's
Oh,
one of
yeah.
the team leaders. He's awesome.
Absolutely.
They love him.
And they're still a really, really good team.
Sure they are.
Without him, too. But that's a difference-making
No,
player.
The Steelers beat the hell out of the
Not the
Raiders.
same.
That was hilarious.
How about our Broncos?
Max Crosby is pushing coaches away from him. Did you see that?
Yeah. He's Max Crosby. A bit of a
But you think
cannon.
that's good?
No.
Steelers
Probably
beat
not.
the Raiders 32-13. Falcons and Panthers was terrible. And then the Chargers beat the Broncos 23-16. It was a blowout.
Weird.
And then the Broncos scored 16 in the fourth quarter to make the score better. But
Jim Harbaugh left the game.
Yeah,
minutes into the,
heart issue. He
minutes
came back,
into
didn't
the
he?
first quarter. Yeah, it was a weird
Yeah.
deal. Because then Surtain went off and he was gone for the game. So that was all within the first 5 minutes of the game. It was wild.
Yeah, I was wrong. I think last week you were asking me who's going to finish second. I was maybe the Broncos. But then they were just so bad at home.
No
The
good.
Chargers definitely have a better coach, quarterback combination because they've got a veteran quarterback,
They have a better running back. they have a
better
better
running back,
quarterback,
and
they have
all
better
that
coaches.
stuff. But
All matters.
they're all just hanging around watching the Chiefs play football for the most part, which is fine.
Chargers are in the second wild card spot right
Do
now.
you have
Yeah.
any comments on the big day that Caleb Williams had in London, or will you chalk that up to Jacksonville
Now,
quitting?
Jacksonville's awful, but
because
Caleb Williams
Jacksonville had
is going to get better.
He doesn't think so.
I think he's going to
Jake,
get better.
but
Getting better to what? To be a very average quarterback in this league?
Could be average by. I agree. I don't think he's going to be a star, but this for me, this kind of seemed like a spot where he would go play well. They're in London, blah blah. playing
two
a
clips
bad
ago,
team.
I sent you Andre Cisco. You tell me if this is a red flag at all. Because Doug Peterson even said that they need a culture change. Like, well, Doug,
Or maybe that's you.
this is safety Andre Cisco after Jacksonville got worked by the Chicago Bears in London.
They have to sit in London and play another game next week.
Just sightsee. I mean, I don't know. Hear what Andre Cisco had after the game.
As bad as it felt and looked out there?
Yeah, it was really bad. I don't know. I just felt like it was. How should I say this? A lot of quit, and I don't know. Last line of defense. In a situation like that, you could feel when we're playing as one and when we're not, and felt very early in the game. Kind of once things maybe at a halftime that we weren't playing as one.
So how's that when
You don't like the
your
Q
safety
word.
says, how do I say this? A lot of quit.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be quitting on
Is
that.
that a good
team,
sign
too.
or no?
You would not be quitting, Jake. You're a great teammate.
Yeah, if that was my quarterback.
Well, they're not quitting him. He's got a deal, right?
Yeah, that's an amazing thing. These guys got paid in the offseason. It's like they haven't done anything.
You just have to do it.
No, you don't have to do it.
I agree, but if you think this
You asked
guy's
the
your guy,
You asked the Giants if they had to do that. You asked the Dolphins
Sure
if
they
they
did.
had to do that. You asked the Jacksonville Jaguars if they had to do that. No, you don't. You go sign a guy like Sam Darnold. You go sign a guy like Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
They don't have to do that. Like, and
here's the deal. I'm not sure Trevor Lawrence would have gotten that deal had they not. They should thank the Chargers
right for collapsing.
for collapsing, and they came back from 28 down or whatever. That's the only thing he
Only
has
thing.
on his resume.
Right.
That's it.
Yes.
And that was not last year. It was 2 years ago, and he got a couple $100 million out of the deal. I mean, Doug Peterson's getting fired, right? They're not going to do it in London because they got to stay there another day.
I think they'll let him have the rest of the season. I don't think they'll fire him in season.
So what role will he have with the Chiefs next year?
Offensive analyst,
Yep.
quarterbacks coach, I don't know. Something like that.
Yeah. Well, we'll take him.
Sure.
Well, you'll
Why
get him.
not? I mean, Matt Nagy will probably be the head coach of the Jags. So I don't know, man. I was surprised that the Jets made the move when they made the move. But you're looking around, the Cowboys probably should make a move. The
Well,
Jags
they
probably
won't.
should. They
Jerry,
probably won't.
Jerry Jones has doubled down on that.
Yeah, well, he doubled
yesterday.
down. I heard what he said, but he says a lot of things.
And they're not. I mean, that's a very. I mean,
The division is.
They were missing 3 starters on that defense. 2 of them, they're edge rushers. I mean, not that that probably would have made a huge difference, but Micah Parsons is their best player on their
Yeah.
team, and he was not available yesterday. And so, that division. I mean,
Was he going to make a 40-point difference?
probably not. But I mean, that probably keeps the game a little bit closer than than it was yesterday. 47-9, something like that.
37-9.
Yeah.
47-9 on that one. They got beat at home by who beat them? The Saints beat them 44-19 at home, and the Ravens beat them 28-25. But we're up like a bunch, right? And then almost lost it.
I'm not counting the Cowboys out.
Hey, the
yet.
Cowboys have a bye week this week, so that's good for them. There'll be nothing to talk about down there.
Yeah, nobody's great in their division.
Right.
They're, you know.
So I mean now I don't think they're a championship team. I mean, I don't put them in the same category as the Niners or Detroit
Well, they spent a lot of money on their wide receiver and their quarterback too, right?
or the Packers or Minnesota. I mean, that's the division right there. Chidilla said it at the beginning of the year.
That division is something.
Yeah. I mean, all 4 of those teams are in contention. Right now they're in the playoff picture. But
We'll be right back after this on WHB.